Okay, guys. So once again, welcome you guys to the class and the mobile app development class. We did an introduction. If you were not part of the introduction class, we have talked about what's basically touched around what we're going to be teaching today, and we're going through Flutter Flow, an easier way to make sure we develop apps. I explained why in the introductory class. You can ask your classmates and they can also put you through. So we're just going to dive into what we'll be doing today, and I hope you guys follow on. So basically today, like I said in the group, we'll be covering Fire Footer Flow and Firebase, and we'll be creating a login application. And also we'll be creating also a database, and you'll be seeing how we can do authentication. That means also do registration, login and logout. It is pretty simple. You can achieve this with Flutter Flow and Firebase in just less than an hour. This is the basic for building any application. Almost all application around the world, you need to have a form of authentication process. And once you guys have seen this process and how to do it, that means you have covered like the first stage of building your application. Next week, we'll be diving more into the UI UX, and that means creating your own design and template in the Flutter Flow application. And after that, we'll now go into the deep crude application, that's create, update, and delete. And I will be giving you an assignment today that you guys should create an upload probably a profile photo and etc. Just upload stuff into the database, and you're going to see how that works also. So then the last week, I know you guys have submitted most of your application. You can now see how we can connect all the crude to whatever you want to build with Flutter Flow, and it's going to work perfectly. And I'll show you how to connect APIs, etc. So if you guys are taking notes, please, the first application we need to go through now we call Firebase. So if you can see, if you have a Google account, automatically you have a Firebase account. And if you just go to console.firebase.google.com, it takes you straight to this console. I'm just reloading it just in case. I'm going to drop the link in the chat section of this call also at the end of the class, so you guys can visit it, or just go to Google, type Firebase, and it's going to come up. Click on new, you'll be directed straight to this place, right? If you guys have done that, say thumbs up. Because this is an online call, you can always just bring me back if I'm going too fast, and probably ask questions as we go through the class. Okay. Okay, I thought I heard someone is joining. Okay, so basically, what is Firebase? Um, Firebase is a Google way of helping us create projects for our apps. You can call them containers for apps. It helps us cut across different platforms. So we can now develop backend for Android, iOS, web apps using the Firebase application. It has a lot of automated systems built into it, and you are going to be seeing some of those today. We have the storage of Firebase storage, which helps us hold files. We also have the Firebase authentication, which help us do authentication automatically. You're going to be seeing that in as we go forward. We also have the Firebase database store, which helps us create database for any of our applications. So these are the three basically sections we will be touching in the Firebase project. Okay, let's dive in. First things first, I have Flutter Flow on my own system downloaded, but if you don't have that, you can easily just head on to flutterflow.com. Sorry, flutterflow.io. Sorry, and create an account. Sign in to create an account. Why is it slow? Okay, while that is loading, let's just head on to Firebase and create a project. So today, who is going to give us a project we'll create? Just maybe name any app so we can go ahead and start. This is what Flutter Flow looks like. You can see it's it helps you build application faster than ever without coding. It doesn't mean it doesn't have code. It does have code, and you're going to see that down the line. And the codes are always available. You can now export them to your Visual Studio Code and do all your edits yourself. It's pretty much cool. Almost all the big industry, like some of the places I'm working online, they are all using Flutter Flow now. Most of them have abandoned the coding section. This Flutter Flow is being built on Dart. It uses Dart, and that's Flutter to do its programming, and it's powered by Google. It allows you to do almost everything you need to do on building your own application. So who is giving us a name of an application for us to start with? So like I said, first thing you need to do is to go sign in Flutter Flow, create an account. Once you create an account, you can also download the Flutter Flow application and have it inbuilt in your system, like I do. I have it in my system. So what's the name of the application we're building today? If no one is giving it a shot, I think this is a sample application. So this is it on my own system. I have Flutter Flow on my own system, so you can have Flutter Flow on your system also like this. Just head on to Flutter Flow and download it. Let's dive into serious work. I think I've done a lot of introduction. If there's anything you don't understand, I'll just probably leave the floor for a moment, then I'll head back to work. Okay, perfect. Everything is clear and simple for you guys. So once you have created a Flutter Flow account, you can go straight to create your application. So you can see this is the Flutter Flow dashboard. To create an application is simple. Just click on create. So let's just create an application. For this application, we're doing okay, let me just pick one of those applications from our chat. Since no one is offering to do an application, okay, we'll call this application ordering. So one of the students wants to build an application that helps people order fashion clothes online, and so now the name of our application is ordering. You can see Flutter Flow is very easy to use. When I started using it, man, I couldn't just go back to my usual way of coding. They already have predefined templates which you can use. You can explore these templates on your own and see how it works. There's also a very advanced design creation portal for you. So instead of designing your app on let's see, what's this, what do they call it, Figma, you can actually do your designs here, right? So let's just create our application ordering. So this is our application ordering. Wow, this is awesome. It allows you to select a theme for this application. I'm just going to go with the default theme. So like I said, the next week class, we're going to dive deep into theming, designing your app, making it look sweet and crisp. But right now, I just want to give you a foundational knowledge of how Flutter Flow works, because once you have this knowledge, every other thing will just fall in line, right? So we're diving really deep into it, okay? So we just, next step, go to next step. Okay, this is sweet and lovely. Right now, because we're going to be using Firebase as our project in this application, so we're going to be connecting our Firebase ID here. We can actually do this in several ways. There's a need to do it now, or we can do it later on. But for this tutorial, let's just go ahead and do it now. You can also start your project on Flutter Flow and you don't get this screen. I will also show you how to do all those connections later on. So now let's go to our Firebase. So if you remember what Firebase is just like the back end of that our application. So we want the application to be connected to Firebase, so we can create the back end database, etc, storage for our application, and make sure the application works, right? So let's create a new project on Firebase. Ordering. Since this is a test application, we don't want Google Analytics on it. Just click on create. This will take a bit of time to do. Let's just wait for it. Perfect. Project has been created. So we now have our ordering application created in Firebase, and this is basically Firebase for you. You could see that we have menu at the right hand side, and also at the main dashboard will always be at the left hand side. For us to get our project ID, we just go on project, click on project settings. You can also not stress yourself by always typing this whole process. I also have a PDF I'm going to share with you on how to do this. This is our project ID. You can see I'm grabbing the project ID from Firebase, and I'm going to connect it to Flow. So this is just going to be our back end. Connecting the Firebase application. Okay, now this is done. I did this purposely because I want you guys to see the error. There's a the Firebase, you can actually connect the project ID without adding the Firebase connection string into it. So the Firebase needs permission to communicate with this your application. That's what it just means. If you notice, I copied what it said there, that we should include into our permissions flutter at firebase.io. So this is the permission section. We're going to grant Flow permission to use this database. So I'm going to add a member here and simply just paste. This is the connection string. This is the same for all your whole application. It's not going to change. It will always be the same. This is default. Connecting your Firebase to Flow, use Firebase at flutterflow.io and set the role to editor. That means it has full permission to use it. And once you click on done, click on add member, and it's going to add the permission for Flow. So now Flow can actually connect to our project. So click on connect. Perfect. You see Flow has connected. We should, for this application, like I said earlier, we're generating a login and registration page that's going to also have a dashboard. So it is paramount we enable authentication. So we'll click on enable authentication. You can see it has created pages for us, an entry page, a logout page. Probably I should skip this process and let's do it manually. If you guys are saying a yes to that, just let me know. Auto generate config file. I like to generate all the config file for database to be included in the application. So you have to do this. Yep, generate files. If I'm not alone, maybe someone should just say yes, we should do it manually, or skip that process. Are you guys following? We should do it manually? Okay then. Okay, that's awesome. So after our files are being generated, we'll go ahead and do it manually. Yes. So I'm just going to skip the rest options and just start building. So this is our application. Flow is made easy and is divided into three. Always see it that the design is always into three sections. You have your component sections always by your left hand side, and your right hand side is your action section. So probably you want to navigate through pages, you want to add colors, you want to add some kind of design, visibility, turn off and on, make the page do a little kind of an action side, is always at your right hand side. And to bring in designs, component is always at your left hand side. And what you're working on will always be on the main view here for you to see. So for this project, if you look at the main menu at the right hand side, you can see we have all other options here. We have pages. This is where you can use to create more pages for your application. We also have a widget tree. Widget tree helps us in case we're adding stuff, adding components to this app. We can easily just highlight it and make changes to it immediately, right? So you can see that we're just making changes. It helps us easily select. You can also select directly from here and add, but there are cases where you need to do that. Then this is a storyboard. The storyboard, while we start building, we'll go to the storyboard. You can see how your application is being linked together, right? Okay, so let's just dive into what the business of the day. So we have an empty application right now, and what we want to do is we want to create a login page, registration page, and also a dashboard, right? So let's just dive in. Like I said, most of these UI design, we're going to do it next week. This is giving you the basic that you need to start working on your project. I believe all your project will have a login, registration, and a dashboard. So you can start building with what you have now currently. Then we'll dive into more visuals next week. Okay, so I clicked on new. If you did not see it, there's an add new page here, new button. The good thing about Flow is that they are pre-designed sections for you. You can just pick any template. You can design yours. You can pick any template to use. For this tutorial's sake, we're going to go with authentication templates. Let's look for a nice one that does login. I like this. If you guys see anyone that you like, you can just, have I chosen? A login. I think I like this or this. Let's go with this. Right? Use the default theme. We'll do theming next week. It should be named login. Create page. So now we've created a page called login. Let's do another one for our registration. Registration is still under authentication. Registration. We can also just pick any of them and use for our registration if there's no predefined registration template to use. Which should I use for registration? Okay, let's just use this for registration. Okay, create an account. Perfect. This, use the default theme, create account, create. So take a look at the pages. We have create account, we have login. Lastly, we're going for our dashboard. What should our dashboard look like? For now, let's just go somewhere straight to our, like a profile. So let's do a profile. We can do this. This is very nice. Create page. So now we have 3 pages. We have our login, we have our create accounts, we have our profile. Mind you, you can design as you will. For this purpose, we're not going to need some of these settings. We'll take them out and I'll show you what to do then. So basically now we have to go to settings. So now we're doing that manually, right? Settings, you can see it's asking us which of these pages should be the initial page. That's once the app loads up, which page should be the first page to the customer should see. And now because we've created other pages, once you click on it, you can see the different pages, right? So we can just say click on login page. And if you are logged in, which page should you be logged into? That will be the profile page, if I'm not mistaken, right? Profile page. Okay, so we've been able to set and tell Firebase this is what we want and this is what we want, right? Let's just go back to all our pages. This is our main page now. If we preview our app, we're going to see this page. Next, if we want a situation where if we click on the sign up, it takes us to create an account, right? It's very simple to do. Once you click on the sign up text, you go to there's an action menu here. You can see it, action. You click on it. You can click on add action. Once you click on add action, there are different actions you want to click on. You can be a one tap action, double tap, or a long press. This is just going to be a one tap action. And what should happen? You should navigate to or navigate back or close a dialog or a dropout. There's a lot of actions here which we're going to be seeing along this class. There's also notification. Once you click on something, it should tell you or give you a notification. For this lecture, we want you to navigate to where? Create account, right? So that's as simple as that. That button now works. So probably let's just run this application. You use that launch thunder button to run your application to see how your application will behave when it's installed on a mobile phone. So we're currently running the application on our browser. Once it's ready, it's going to show up. It will take a little bit of time. If I'm going too fast, you can just bring me back a bit. So remember, we've linked our project first to Firebase, right? And in this project, we want to do what we call authentication, okay? And authentication means we need to have a database that is going to be authenticated to, right? So in case, then we need to have a database that these records are being stored in. So someone can easily create an account. And after creating an account, he can now use an authentication to authenticate with the database if that user is actually human or not. Let's see if our apps is running. Okay, it's still loading. Let's give it some time. It's going to come up. Yeah?
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm with you.
Please, how did you link your project with Flutterflow, the Firebase project?
Okay, let me show you the manual method. When you go to settings,
Alright, sir.
settings, you remember when we started our application, it just gave us an option to link, do most of those things predefined, right? So we're able to go
Yes, sir.
well, the first thing we did is we created the project in Firebase, right? And
Yes, sir.
we clicked on preview, project overview. We clicked on project settings and we picked the project
Alright,
ID.
sir.
We picked the project ID, then we head on straight to Firebase and did the linking. But now from your settings, you can go to Firebase here. You can see it's still telling you the same thing. Put in the project ID, you click on connect. Now your project is connected to Firebase. Is that clear?
All right, thank you, sir.
Awesome. So you can also see we have an authentication section here, which when we click on it, it's enabled. So for your own application, in case you don't get that welcome GUI screen, this might not be enabled. You can just easily come here and enable it. So authentication has been enabled on your Firebase project. Is that fine?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, perfect. So let's head back to Firebase. So if you notice on our Firebase, we've not done anything on Firebase. This is the backend of the application. We want to tell the backend of the application that we need an authentication, right? We need to be able to do login. And to do that, I clicked on all products. Now I can see all products of Firebase. And what we need now for this application, we need an authentication. So we just check this authentication widgets and we click on get started. We're activating it now to our own application, right? Because we've connected the application to this backend. So now we're activating authentication to the backend. I don't know if that's clear. You can see that this is so simple. If you're doing it manually, it takes like probably a week to get authentication by Google, Facebook, to just add this authentication on your application is just by clicking on it and it's activated. You also have phone authentication, which is sweet. For this tutorial, we're just going to stick with email and password, but you can add all of them. But take note that while adding this other method, they won't work on your browser. It only works when you are on your phone, right? When you export your app to your phone. So just make sure it's set. It's the same setting with email and password. Once it's on your phone, it's going to work perfectly. Okay? So for this, let's just do email and password. So I'm going to enable it and save it. So there's also a passwordless sign in, and I think you can always come back and add new providers. So that method is going to be added to your app automatically. You can see how easy it is. We've just added email and password authentication on our backend, which is crazy. You can also do this for your, if you're doing online apps also, that's hand coding it also. So next thing we're going to need is the Cloudflare store. This help us, we can store projects and also help us create database. Okay, so you can see Firestore database right here. Oh, wait for it to load. I think my network is a bit slow. So now we're going to create a database, and what should we call this database? We leave it as default. It's going to create a UID for the database default. Location, you can actually change the location to suit, but basically just leave it at US. It's the fastest server currently on Firebase. I know because I've tested it. Next, we have two options. If you are building an application to be used for production, that's in real life scenario, you should just start in production mode. But since we're doing like a tutorial now, I want this database to delete after every 30 days. And when I'm ready to transfer or ready to create a live project, I can easily come back and create the project in production. And if you have any question on that, I'm here to explain. So we're going to be doing it in test mode for now. So let's just create. And mind you, Firebase has a restriction to it. Basically, in the number of projects you can create, I think it's currently sitting at 20. So I can have 20 projects, so I can build 20 apps for free. That's what it means, with back end connection, with their own Firestore, with Gemini, etc. You name it. And take note that almost everything has Gemini right now. We have Gemini in Firebase. We also have Gemini in Flutterflow. Gemini in Flutterflow is somewhere. It helps you do your designs automatically. Okay, I think I've not activated it for this account because I don't want. Okay, I'm going to show you guys in the design class. I'll activate the Gemini and we'll just be typing what we want it to design, and it's going to be designing it using all the Flutterflow components. Okay, so perfect. We've been able to create our database, and you can see the database is empty. Database in Firebase or Firestore is called collections. You can have multiple collections. Each collection is usually a table. So it's made reference to a table in MySQL or Postgres or other database. So once you say a table, you are meaning a collection in Firebase. If that's clear. If you need more deep insight, just let me know. Okay, so that's awesome. Let's head back to Flutterflow. Okay, this is where we are on Flutterflow. So what have we been able to do? We've been able to connect our application to Flutterflow, to Firebase, right? We've been able to turn on authentication, right? We've been able to create our pages that we want to work with, right? Now we want to create the database that these pages will work with. Simple process, right? So now we're creating a collection. So let's just create a collection on Firebase. What should we call this collection? We can call it whatever you want. Let's say users details. Just the users of the application anyways. Users, whatever you want to call it, you can actually call it. So click on create. Firebase has detected that this is a user table or user collection, and it wants to populate it with default user fields. Okay, let's just go ahead with that. So you can see now we have the table called users, and these are the fields in the table. We have email, name, photo, UID, which is unique, created time, phone number. You can also add yours. So if anybody wants us to add anything, you can just let us know. If you want to add anything to your login and registration, you can also add to your list. So what we have in Flutterflow, we've created a database in FlutterFlow. So we need to also do the same in Firebase, right? So that anything we're picking and sending from FlutterFlow will also appear in the Firebase collection. So we're going to replicate this table in Firebase. Is that understood? If there's any question, you can stop me at any time. Okay, no questions. Heading back to Firestore. So now I'm going to create also a users table here. So what's our collection ID? Users. Yep. So we auto generate the document ID. This is now a record in our users table. So we need to create a first instance of the records in the database table. I hope that's clear. Okay, let's just go ahead and probably we will see it work in real time and have more understanding on how to do it. So we're on FlutterFlow. These are the tables we've created. Email, display underscore name, photo underscore URL, UID. Let's do the same thing here. Email, it's a string. I can use a w@w.com. What is the next one? Display underscore name. This will be the person's name. Is it typed capital? We'll confirm that. The value missing. We have photo underscore URL. This is going to be a URL of a photo, so that we can also pick it in our application. What do we do? Let me just look for a picture of myself online. ELFY. I think this should bring something of me. Yep, this is me. This image look horrible. Copy image address. Yeah, perfect. Let's see if it works. Yeah, perfect. So now we head back to Firebase ordering. Boom. I put in that my image URL. The next one we have the UID. UID is a unique identifier for this record, so we can just input anything we want there. So what are the next fields to add? Back to FlutterFlow. Okay, created underscore time, phone underscore number. Created underscore time. This is going to be a timestamp and a value of, let's just use today's dates and everything today. Then created underscore time. What's the next one? Just keep phone underscore number. Okay. We can just use any dummy number for now. Should we add an extra field? Is there anything we need to add? Yeah, no. Let's just go ahead with the defaults. You can always add fields. You can always come back and add fields in case you want to collect more records. You can always do that. So we just created this collection. It's now in our database. And everything we have here, created underscore time, display, email, photo URL, UUID, are same with what we have in our FlutterFlow users table, right? So we've been able to create this in our account. Okay, now, what have we done? Remember we run this application. Let's check if it has finished building. Oh, perfect. This is it. This is our application on demo mode. Remember we linked this place to the registration page. So when we click it, it's supposed to navigate to the registration page, right? You can see how it did that. See now we've now linked this one to link us back to the login page. And once we click on it, nothing happens. Once we click on create account, nothing happens. So let's just do a little edit on our work. Then I will recap what we've done so far. We do a little edit on this work. We do our creating, login, and dashboard. Let's head on. straight back to Flutterflow. What we've been able to do so far is that we've been able to create our pages. When you go to settings, we've been able to enable authentication, that because we want this application to have authentication. Why we're doing this is that for almost all the whole apps you are doing or you'll be building for companies, you have to do authentications on them, right? So basically this is like the basic knowledge, and I'm taking you through most of the places you are going to be clicking while using Firebase, so it broadens your knowledge, right? And okay, so next we did, after enabling authentication, we went to connect our project to Firebase. And how did we connect the project to Firebase? We created a project in Firebase. We created a project named Ordering. And from that project, we click on preview, project settings. We got our project ID. That's what we put into the Firebase application, and click on connect to connect it. Generate the config file for Firebase. So now our application has all the config file for Firebase, okay? And lastly, what we did was we now went to create our pages, okay? And these are the pages. We linked them as start page, logged in page. And we head back to our pages. This is our login page, created page, and profile page that we've created. If there's any step I missed, you can take me back, or we can just move ahead. If there's any question, if there's none, let's just move ahead. So the last thing we did was we created a database for our application. But this database was only created in Flutterflow. It wasn't created in Firebase. And remember, Firebase is the one that handles the back end of our application. That is the database, the storage of images and etc. And also does some magnanimous things like authentication automatically using Google, using other platforms, even login, etc., which we are trying to make use of currently. So we've created our database, we've created everything we need to get this project to work. Is there any question? Okay, probably I need to just check and make sure I'm not the only one here. Oh, okay, if there's no question, let's just move ahead, right? Yep. So we're going to do a little touch on this. Let's just touch this UI a bit. Login page for ordering, right? These are our ordering app, blah 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 blah. Is there anything we need to change? Maybe put in the slogan of the app. Order from anywhere in the world. So we're just doing a little touchy. I just want you guys to have a feel of what it's like to edit on Flutterflow. Very easy. Ordering. If I was to do this whole process on Flutter, it might take almost maybe 7 hours, and this is less than an hour. And because I'm teaching, if you were not teaching, you were just working, this would be done in 15 minutes time, and we would have moved on to creating what the application actually does. Okay, so now let's head back to connecting this ordering register. Yeah, create an account is perfect. This is our logo. Perfect. Now we want to make sure that once the user clicks on this sign in, it takes them back to the login page. How do we do it? Same process. Action, add action. The action should happen on a tap, and it should navigate to where? Back to login page. Okay, this now works. Just by doing that, it now works. So now let's go back to our login page. You can see I'm highlighting this login page. Once I click on this login page, I can't see the components on this login page. I have to select them from here. But there's an easier way to do it. You go to your widget 3. Remember, I'm on ordering. So now I can see almost all details. You can see your roles, your form container, the scrolling that is enabled, and everything is under the scrolling. There's a space, there's a column. These are the texts, and I can work on them easily. These are my email, my password, my button, etc, etc, etc. So the widget tree helps you actually go deep in while you are developing your application. You learn more about this while we are creating our UI UX for any applications we're building. So basically, I want to select the whole application. I want this whole page to do an authentication for me. Oh, my battery is running out. Sorry, let me just plug my PC and let's continue. Okay, we're back. Yep. So what did I just do? Yeah, I just clicked on the whole application, and yeah, I'm going to click on action. Now we're going to add an action. You can see an action. What kind of action do we want to add? An authentication action. You can now see we have Firebase authentication, which we enabled on this application. I think that will be us running out of time. You can see different authentication application, verify SMS, email, all these are done automatically. The way we're going to do the login is the same way it does for the rest of them. So let's just easily go to login. So we have set the login. The provider, you see, for this application, what do we have? Email and password. We have email, right? And since we're doing email authentication, remember there are other authentication, Google, Apple, etc, and we can have on the same page all these other authentication. So if we have maybe Google, etc down here, we can always just click on that, do the authentication, select the specific one we want to do, and it's going to work. So now where is the email field? Our email field, if you look at it, is email address, password, right? So we select the email address, password, and that's all. We are done for this page. The authentication now works. I know you guys will be laughing. What do we do? Probably we extend this call. I create a new link and share on the group, then we join, right? So we can finish up the registration and the dashboard. Okay, so once this call goes off, I'll share a new link. If that's fine, if there's any question, please, you guys should just ask. Okay, back to Flutter Flow. Now our login works automatically. Let's head back to the pages. Let's do a create account. So we want to create an account using this page. The same process. I'm just going to my widget tree. Oh, sorry. I'm going to take you guys back to that page so you see the connection. Create an account, right? And what do? We go back to action, add action, authenticate. You can see there's a lot of Firebase authentication. We have create account, so we just added create account to this page. What kind of authentication registration do we want to do? Email also, right? Where's the email field? Let me highlight it. You can see the email address, you can see the password, you can see the confirm password. These are their names also. You can also change them here. So since this is just for tutorial, we have email address, we have password, we have confirm password. You can also add other fields that you want to add to this collection. Yeah, so you can use the add button to add the field and connect it the same way we just connected all this. Probably in the next class we'll do a more robust one where we're adding a lot of fields, then we head on to do our crude creation, right? And creating of the account is done automatically. It is beautiful. So now let's head straight to our profile. So once the users log in, right, this is what he's going to see, right? We've already established that fact in our settings, right? So let's say when they click on the logout button, what do we want to happen? We want it to log them out. So we click on this logout button, we do the same thing. We add action. Let's just do auth on tap. What should happen? Logout, right? Logout perfectly. That has been done. I love Flutter Flow. Next, we want this whole page should pull out data from the database, right? So how do we pull out this data from this whole page? Should have data from the database coming into this page, because we want to be able to pick the image of the logged in user, want to be able to pick the name, want to be able to pick the email, and probably other details, right? So what do? We still make sure we're on this page, this whole page now selected. Well, I did it from the widget tree. We're going to go to this build query. What build query does is that it brings the details from the database to every page, right? So let's just add. If there's any question, you can just slow me down. Okay. There's a lot of query. We can do API calls. API calls are from other services, and we can just connect to whatever we want and do that connections. Okay. Is someone speaking? Okay. So you can see it's already telling us we have a connection to our user table here. If there are more, you see a lot of them here. So let's just click the users. So now this query, how is it going to be? Is it going to query everything in the database? This is a list of documents. That's almost all the whole records in the database to bring it and drop it. But since it's just one record, it's going to be single. If we want to do like a count, we can do like a count and drop it there. We are going to see how all this works down the line. Let's just do for single, because we just want to get a single record. If you want to filter the record by, or order it by, or do some magical query, which we're going to be seeing how we're doing it in our crude class, that will be next upper week class. You see how we manipulate all this to get specific records, or how the record should come. It should filter by so ID, or filter by so user, etc. So for this, let's just pick a single record from the database, and it should be displayed here. Okay. Click on confirm, and automatically you have that record filtered directly into this page. So let's say, for example, we want our image from the database to show here. When we click on this image, we scroll down to the part of the image. Now you can see there's a menu button aligned with this part. When we click on the menu button aligned to this part, we can click on authenticated users. So because the user has been authenticated now, what do we want it to show there? The photo URL of that user, right? Boom. That's done already automatically. Same thing with the name. We go to the text that is being displayed. Scroll up. Yep. So now we can give it, we just add the same thing, authenticated user display name. Did we add display name to that? No, I don't think so. Oh yeah. That's all. Same thing we do with the email text, authenticated user email, and pretty much that's it for our authentication. So before I recap, let's see if we can rerun our application. Boom, 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 boom. Remember, we have this running here. I'm just rerunning it because we've done a lot of updates and a lot of stuff. So if you have any question, now is the time for you to ask, and let's see how we can trash that out. And I hope you guys were taking like power notes in case the PDF I'll be sharing might miss a step or two. You can always just remember that, okay, this is what happened. Also, I'll be sharing this video. I think it's over 1.7, just 2 gig currently now. I'll try and compress it and make sure I share with you guys, so you can always go over it on your own time. So basically, what we have now for our class is that we've been able to build authentication, that login, registration into the system, and your assignment for that we're going to review before we start next class, which will be deep into the UI UX. That will be next week class, is for you to create an upload. let's have this image uploaded in by the user dynamically. This is a very simple thing to do, especially with filter flow, but very difficult to do while you're doing it on hard coding. So this is your assignment. If you don't know, I need everybody will show me theirs working on their screen. So next week you'll be sharing your screen, showing me you do the same thing we've done here, but now you're doing it for your application that you are supposed to build, right? And while we do the next upper week, while we do the crude class, create, insert, update, delete, you'll notice that with those 4 sections you can build whatever application you want to build. You just have to think about it and you'll be able to build it. So next upper week, once we're done with that class, you should use the last week to build your application because presentation will be on Friday. Okay, so next I need you to do an upload, right? This upload will teach you how to upload whatever you want into your application directly into Firebase or into other APIs that you want to connect with. That's your assignment for today. Okay, our application is ready. I think we added. Let's just start and go. Okay, let's use like a dummy stuff to try and log in. You see the application comes pre-built with notification. Okay, I can't scroll down. See, there's a notification already. You should be able to change that. It said it can't find this user in our application, right? So let's sign up. Let's create an email, r@r.com. Password 126 12345 6. Confirm 12345 6. Create an account. Boom, you can see our account is created. It picked out the email address. It's trying to load the image for some reason and the name. And basically you can see our application is working. Now while you create yours, let's debug why this is not pulling. Let's try out our logout. Boom, logout has logged us out automatically. Okay, now I know why the name is not pulling. r@r.com. Our password is 123456. Click on login. It logs you into your account. So do you know why the image is not pulling and why the name is not pulling? During our registration we didn't give it an image and we didn't give it a name, so we just did registration for only logout. Let's see our registration form. Only email, password and confirm password. So the application did not see a name in the database and did not see an image in the database. So that's why I said for your class now, go and be able to create the name, be able to add the image yourself. Okay, we can also just add the name in this our registration form and just follow the same process. I think basically this is the lecture for today. Maybe in the next class we'll add the name while you guys are presenting, then we'll register with the name also, just for you to see how it works, instead of using predefined data, right? Is there any question from you guys? I think I've covered basically everything I need to cover for this class. We've gone over login. No, I'm not coming over to the office. That's the reason why I'm doing an online class, because I need to be somewhere by 1 and that will take me throughout till night. So any more questions? Look, are you sure you guys are following with me? Are following? Remember our storyboard? Let's take a look at what it looks like. You see, the storyboard kind of give you a visual connection to your whole screen. So now we can see we connected the sign in button. This comes in very handy when you have maybe like an application with like 50 to 60 screens. Sometimes you even just get confused. Where are they clicking to where? What are they clicking to what? This just tells you that, oh, from this you click directly. It shows you where it went to, right? This button went to this page. Yep, this sign in button signs you into the dashboard. This dashboard logs you out. From this dashboard, you can come here, and vice versa. This is a dual movement, and also it takes you back to registration. So just it gives you a visual idea of what your application is doing, what you've been doing anyways in your application. I have an application that I kept scrolling down to see what is happening because I was already lost. So this actually helps a lot to track your views. Are there any questions? Any questions? Anything you missed from this? Yes, Amir, you can ask your question. Go ahead. This call is about to end. Amir, you can ask your question.
Sir, I think the only problem I have right now is setting up the database
On Firebase?
on Firebase and on Flutter Flow, sir.
Okay. Oh, let's see if we can get more people to come in with the new link. Then we go ahead, right? I'm going to stop my recording now. What the hell is that recording?